This old highway's getting longer.
If I ask a question that's really awkward, we'll just use the safe word gritty. Just say gritty, and then I'll just move on.
We use
Hey,
quagmire.
While he's talking, can I be going, gritty, gritty?
The whole time.
The whole time.
Like, we're in trouble.
Tomorrow night. Nice.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
I hope he ain't wearing them skinny jeans. Hey, is he wearing them skinny jeans? Hey, was Luke
You're
wearing them skinny
kidding me.
jeans?
Past 2 weeks, no one's been home.
And we need to do something about that.
Yeah.
You know, the studies show that if the dad of the family hunts, it's 50-50 if the kids are going to. Kids nowadays are so involved in other activities. But if the mom hunts, the kids are going to hunt.
The white line's getting longer, and the saddle's getting cold. I'm much too young to feel this damn old. All the cards are on the table.
Pours a little bit of that burden, and because that burden is all U.S. citizens, it's all of our burdens.
Yeah.
That freedom isn't free.
All right. I don't know if I remember the rest of the words.
Let's knock
All right, here we go. We're going back to the chorus.
Okay.
And the white line's getting longer, and the saddle.
But just be positive in your life. Every crowd I'm looking at right there, there's somebody there who is a natural leader.
Yeah.
Are they going to be a positive leader or a negative leader?
On the table, but no waste left in the hole. I'm much too young to feel this damn old. Lord, I'm much too young to feel this damn old.
Dude,
All right.
Aaron
Nice.
sold it.
Oh, we should do one more.
All right. What do you
I,
got?
uh,
Whoa.
Yeah,
I mean, he's really taking over the stage here.
No,
This is a side of Aaron I've never seen
I know.
before.
He's like, well, can I get a fog machine, please?
Hello, all right. You're listening to the Gritty Bowmen, home of gritty bow hunting films, interviews, tall tales, and a wee bit of manly boasting.
I'm South Cox, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Yeah, can we get a different backdrop? Something in Sitka, preferably.
On this episode of Gritty Bowmen, we visit with hunting film producer Jason Matzinger. I first discovered Jason's films through the Full Draw Film Tour, and I followed his work ever since. Jason's films make you think. They tell a story, and they're sincere and heartfelt. Jason is deeply involved in conservation efforts, teaming up with organizations such as the Mule Deer Foundation and the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Jason is a talented filmmaker and a skilled hunter. I look forward to what he does next.
If you like this show, please go to our website at grittybowmen.com and subscribe to this podcast and tell your mates and pals about us. Do us a favour and please take a moment to leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or on our YouTube channel. Send your questions and podcast ideas to grittybowmen@gmail.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you can see the video version of this podcast on our website at www.grittybowmen.com.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. I'm here with Jason Matzinger. We are at the ATA show in Louisville, Kentucky. And Jason's gracious enough to sit down and answer some questions. For folks who don't know you, Jason, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Jason Matzinger. I'm a hunting film producer.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it about 7 or 8 years now professionally. And got a show called Into High Country on the Sportsman's Channel. Just recently finished up a 1-hour documentary titled Project Elk.
Yep.
That I worked very closely with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation with, and also produce Elk Country Chronicles for the Elk Foundation.
Okay.
So
just a quick question, like what film got you, like what was sort of your first foray into this 7 year ago or 8 years ago, this professional filmmaking career? Like what were you doing before that, and kind of how did you branch into this?
Well, I'm a certified electrician, a journeyman electrician out of Montana.
Okay.
And I started guiding right out of high school. I would take 3 months off from being an electrician, and I was a big game guide.
Okay.
And I grew up watching Marty Stauffer and Gordon Eastman, and those guys really inspired me, you know. And
Yeah.
I watched hunting TV start to develop and where it was going. And during that time I was guiding, and I just felt like what I saw every day as a guide could rival anything that was on TV at that time. But I also just felt like, it really didn't paint a picture of exactly why I was out there or the way I felt when I was out there. So I would say, kind of what drove me was realizing what I had right in front of me, and that I had the opportunity to tell a different story than was being told.
At the time, did you know about video cameras and equipment
Not
and
at
all
all.
that? Okay.
Not at all. No, I mean, my first camera was a tiny little Canon camera like this big with a little flip-out screen that I'd keep in my hip pocket of my pants while I was guiding, And what I realized is, you either have to be a guide or a camera guy, because what I ended up being was a very half-assed guide and a very half-assed camera guy.
Okay.
So, but that's where that passion started. Like, it became almost addicting to try to get that stuff on film.
On film.
Yeah.
And so from there, when you started sharing the stuff, how did you get into making the films?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, it just went from hunting television to, I would say one thing that really helped me with that was just the birth of hunting film tours.
Oh, yeah.
6-7 years ago, there wasn't a full draw film tour. There wasn't a hunting film tour, none of that.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited they gave me a platform to do what I've always really kind of wanted to do with that. So, that's really what got me to start doing the first film. But I wanted to do something that was different. And I know that's such a used up term. I wanted to do something that was different, but I wanted it to tell my story.
Yeah.
So the first film I ever did was called Into High Country, the same as my television show. But that was to not only tell the story of a mountain goat hunt, but it was really to tell my backstory and my ethics and my morals. And it was a piece that I could hand somebody that was so different than anything that they had seen, that if a sponsor or a company was interested in working with me, I could hand them this instead of watch 14 episodes of my TV show.
Right.
So
I love that film, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's an awesome film.
Thank you.
I like the reflection, learning about your history. For me, when I go and watch a hunting film, or TV show in general, and I don't mean to be negative toward the shows that are out there, but what I'll come across often is no connection to the individual that's telling the story, and sometimes there's just no story, and so they just show up. A guy will show up, he'll be hunting in Montana, he'll kill an elk, and he'll go home.
Yeah.
But I don't know who he is or why I care about him, or, what is, there's not, I want to connect to the person as well as the story.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what drives me to really do the films, is you can tell a story. TV, don't get me wrong, super proud of my show, super proud of everything we've done with it.
Yeah.
But I'm a storyteller, and when you're on TV, you got 4 segments that are, 5 minutes apiece, and there's commercial breaks in the middle, and it's hard to really tell a compassionate story that gets to people's hearts when a frickin' camo booty commercial will come up in the middle of your story,
Right.
And that drives me nuts. So
yeah.
I love the films because you can tell a story that's meaningful.
Yeah.
And you can capture people's attention start to finish, whether it's a 6-7 minute piece or 45 minutes. And it's just a different environment,
Well, and that's one thing about the Full Draw Film Tour, which is where I just put my first film in there last year. And I didn't have a stage to share my work or my ideas on hunting or what I'm passionate about until the Full Draw Film Tour came about.
Right.
Until I found it,
Yep.
And then to be able to put my film in there, it just really shared my message. It also connected me with all these neat people that are in the tour and surrounding the tour. And,
Yeah, you
and then
bet.
fans, too. And so it's been a really neat experience.
Yep.
When you go to make a film, Jason, what are you doing to? Like, do you start with your story first, or do you film and then your story comes out of whatever you filmed? Or?
Typically, yeah. I mean, usually it's the story tells itself through time of filming it. You know, I have an idea of where I'd like to go with the message.
Yeah.
But the story always ends up telling itself through the process of creating it, you know, I think.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know, how much stuff just all of a sudden last second just clicks and works. And you never would have thought that's the way or what you were going to do, you know. It just falls into place. So I try to let the story tell itself until it's really time to put it on the table and then see what I have.
Among the hunting films that are out there right now, what are some of your favorites, or what have connected, which films or filmmakers have really connected to you in the hunting industry?
You know, that's a good question, because I don't watch a lot of stuff. You know, I try to stay pretty disconnected from it, but that sounds stupid. But I try to keep my own. I don't want to get sucked into a groove of like watching a show and then all of a sudden like subconsciously I kind of feed off of that or something.
Yep,
you know, I just want to stay fresh.
Dude, I've heard Steve Ranella says the same thing about Meat Eater. He's like, I don't watch a lot of TV shows because I don't want it to taint my product. What I'm putting out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sense.
So, to answer your question, though, somebody that has inspired me, like I said, originally it was Gordon Eastman and Marty Stauffer. I mean, I feel like, Ike Eastman was just standing right here. I'm good friends with Ike. I tell him all the time, Gordon's story called The Phantom Ram. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's the most amazing documentary I've ever seen. And The Phantom Ram it's an amazing story. I mean, I don't know how Gordon even did it, especially with the camera gear back then and the size of the tripods. And and Ike said that his dad, Gordon, always said that, or not his dad, his grandpa, he felt his best piece he ever did as well.
Really?
So Gordon Eastman really inspired me. But in today's day and age, you know, Donnie Vincent.
Yeah.
Donnie is such a good storyteller. He's really close to my style, I feel, or I'm close to his, however you want to say it.
Yep. Much more dramatic.
He does, and he's really trying to get the message out of why we hunt.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I do. I'm not in it to shoot the biggest deer. I don't care. Of course I want to kill a big animal when I go out there, but that's not what drives me. I don't care if I'm the guy that kills the big stuff every year.
Yeah.
My goal is to teach people how hunting is conservation, you know, that just don't understand how killing an animal is helping a wildlife species or a habitat or an ecosystem. I get it. You know, if you haven't been raised in a hunting family that it's just so instilled in you, I could see where on the front, you know, just for surface value, how they have a really hard time. I say people who don't hunt or don't understand hunting, just don't get it, you know? Like, how can you going out and shooting that? You're telling me that's helping them.
Yeah.
You know, I get it.
It's weird to say, you know, to say on one hand that you really care about an animal, and then you go out and kill it too.
Exactly. So it's not easy. It's not easy for us, even who know it, to
communicate it.
Exactly.
I think it's one of those things. If you hadn't actually hunted, you haven't actually killed another thinking, living creature. It's, you know, eating it and so forth. It's really hard to understand how you could care about it and still kill it.
Exactly.
Without actually doing it. So from a filmmaker's perspective, it's like one of the ultimate challenges, I think.
It is.
To communicate that to someone who hasn't done it and may never do it, but you still want on your side, like, to understand why you do it and also the conservation part of it.
Yeah.
Which I feel more myself, like, it's more and more important to me all the time that conservation ethic is communicated, because it feels like people are more and more every day becoming disconnected from the natural world around them.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I feel like if I can make a film that inspires people to like reconnect with the outdoors, or want to go outside, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's hard.
It's extremely hard. I mean, that's what everybody in this room is trying to do, But I do feel like right now, at this point in time in our society and everything, I feel like us as hunters, as outdoorsmen, whatever, conservationists, I feel like we have a bigger window of opportunity right now to affect and bring in hunters now than ever in our grandparents' history, our parents. Like, people want to know where their food comes from, and they're really concerned about it. And if we can just if we can help them understand what we do, I really feel like now more than ever we can get hundreds of thousands of people on our side if we do a good job about educating them. And that's all it is. And I that
agree.
To me is very exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, very exciting. Like, it's right here. We just got to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's pretty cool.
One of the guys I interviewed for my film Project Elk was a writer, and I love this quote. We didn't use it in the film, but he said, I feel like we're one Robert Redford movie away from hunting before you see every SUV coming out of the hills with a deer on top. And I truly believe that. Like, look what he did for fly fishing with the river runs through it. Like, if Redford were to do, like, I'm calling you out, Redford, if you're listening to this, do a film on hunting, because it would spark. I mean, people are so swayed at what they see and hear right now, to things that are ridiculous. So, I mean,
no, I agree. I saw Eva Shockey on Fox Business the other day, and they were talking to her. Just the hosts were talking to her about hunting in the industry, and one of them said something to the effect of, a lot of hunters are just inebriated, and they go out and they just shoot their guns, and they kill something, and that's kind of the common theme among hunters. Well, the guy on the news, the guy asking her the questions, you could tell he kind of had a stereotype type kind of lodge in his mind of what your typical uneducated kind of drunk hunter would be like.
Right.
And that's sort of his image of hunting. But then he's sitting there talking to Eva Shockey, who's presenting a completely different image, explaining conservation, explaining, what hunting's role is in conservation. And that has to make someone stop and think. And like you said, right now, with all the films and all the things that are out there, this foodie movement, people interested in where their food comes from, I think you're dead right. I think that there's more opportunity now to change people's minds on hunting and its purpose than ever before.
Yep.
And it is exciting. I think it's a really exciting time, like you said, more so than in the past. And what I think is really cool too is there's no barriers to entry. Like, if I want to make a film, I can just make a film.
Yeah.
And if I want to put it out there for people to see, I mean, I've got YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't even have a TV network, but I can still share my things in a way everyone can.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like empowering hunters to understand, how to use a camera, how to film a little bit, how to tell a story, and understand, the greater message that we should try to communicate to the world at large, the non-hunting world at large. I think we as a hunting community have a great opportunity in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's more exciting than ever, I think.
Yeah. How long does it take you to make a film?
Oh, shoot.
It takes me forever.
Well, I mean, Project Elk was almost 5 years in the making of that film. I'm doing
Can you tell folks a little bit about Project Elk and what that was about?
Project Elk was a 1-hour documentary that was basically, like we're talking about, teaching people how hunting is conservation. Through that process, you learn a lot about elk. You go through the changing seasons, starting in winter, going into spring, summer, and fall.
Yep.
And they're, you see the whole process. You see that hunters don't just show up in September and leave in October.
Yeah.
We're there all the time, caring for these animals, watching these animals, studying these animals, just literally in love with the wildlife. It fills a part of our soul.
Yeah.
And that's one thing too that people just don't understand. Like this guy you said was interviewing Eva. He probably thinks, oh, it's opening day, a rifle, and we go pull the rifle off and we throw our stuff on and we go out and we shoot a deer, and it's like, oh, it's over. Rifle on the shelf, back to my recliner, drinking beer, with my helmet with the straws coming in.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably what he thinks, and it just, and I know it's not like that at all. It doesn't shut off for 2 seconds. We're always thinking about our hunting area or how we can be better or how we can better the habitat or...
Every day I eat, I'm always eating a deer, an elk, a bear, something.
Yep.
And I can't help but, in the course of consuming my food every day, think about hunting and harvesting, cooking, managing, taking care of the food, what meal I'm going to do this weekend in the Traeger, whatever.
It's for sure.
It's all kind of wrapped into one huge package, and I agree. It's all together.
Yeah. So, that Project Elk, that's basically what it is you learn about elk, you learn that hunters never disconnect from them through the changing of the seasons, but you really learn how hunting is conservation. I wanted to not only educate non-hunters with that film, but I wanted to help educate hunters for a better argument for us because, I don't really like that term, anti-hunter.
Non-hunters.
They... Like,
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't want, if one of these guys here were to run into somebody, say, in downtown Louisville tonight that doesn't hunt, and they get in their face about how could you kill an animal? How could you do that? I don't want that guy to just say, I want him to have a really educated answer that outthinks him. You can't just use your muscles and your redneck abilities all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just say, oh, you don't like hunting? I want to kick your ass. That doesn't work.
Totally.
So it's like
empowering them to have a better argument.
So if they come at you thinking you're a just dirty redneck and you totally overeducate them and you put them, you're smarter than them, you gain their respect instantly, and they will listen to you. If you come at them with fists up, they're not going to listen to you.
Or with a stupid
or
argument.
with an attitude or anything. But if you can educationally sit down and teach them what they don't know, you will almost always walk away from that conversation with somebody who now understands.
Yeah.
And that's huge. One person at a time, that's huge. Because that person will go tell people, and it'll trickle on. So, things like that people don't think of, arguments like, there's 30.3 million hunters that feed an average of 3.5 people with their game meat every year. 30.3 million hunters that feed an average of 3.5 people. So if you were to instantly take hunting out of our society, you have 100 million people left with no food on their plate. Our society, we cannot, it would cripple our infrastructure. Our society could not make up for that. There's no way. Our farmers, our ranchers, we would put such a demand on them that they couldn't keep up with. But then on top of that, we couldn't touch the wildlife that's now going to come in there to eat their food because that's the only food they have because now the national forest is so overly grazed.
Yep.
You and I know it is such a downward spiral so quickly if hunting is taken out of society. And they say things like, oh, step humans out of society and let nature take its course. Well, guess what? You ain't taking humans out of nature anymore. We
Well-
are here. You can't take us out. We are part of it.
I heard an argument the other day about how if we hadn't killed off all the apex predators like cougars and wolves, then we wouldn't need to go out and kill animals. I heard that on a post, and
yeah,
we are apex predators.
Yeah.
Humans.
Yeah,
are
we're not like
predators.
robotic cyborgs that were put. We are a natural animal,
Animal.
the same as a wolf, the
Right.
same as a lion.
And we got here by eating meat, and so it's sort of it's only, I think, recent that we have this idea that it's morally wrong to eat meat or to kill.
Right.
And it's an interesting argument. But no matter how you go about it, agriculture takes resources. It takes away land. It takes away. It pollutes. It has its costs as well.
Oh, you bet.
And so, learning that, I think you're right. As people learn, kind of educate themselves on. Well, if hunting were to disappear, what would that be like?
Yeah.
Educate themselves on how, like a vegan alternative or a vegetarian alternative, how that affects the environment.
Yep.
I think far more animals are impacted by vegetarianism than they are by hunting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was another whole thing we did with Project Elk with some of the studies and stuff was, like the carbon footprint left on this earth by a vegetarian is tenfold what we leave as hunters.
Yeah.
You have to reclimate so much land, disturb the natural habitat. You have to water it. You have to, use tractors with fuel, pesticides. Yep. You gotta haul it. I mean, there's so much that goes into one little field for one guy to survive being a vegetarian. There's just, and that's what I want to really get across to people is because, like, all of a sudden it's not an emotional response anymore.
Yes.
If you can put it into terms like our society would crumble if like you tell me how we can make up for 100 million mouths tomorrow, and so that takes the emotional response out of it. All of a sudden, I mean, that makes them think like, oh my God, where would we? How could we?
Do that.
Come back from that, and it becomes real, and then it gets the wheels turning. And I feel as hunter conservationists, we need to just do a better job of educating people on things that are real.
Yeah.
Like
I like that, and I like doing it through film or photo or written word or discussions like this, whatever it takes. Find the medium you're good at or that you love. I love storytelling too. So for me, the film is like one of the ultimate ways to tell a story.
Sure.
And so I want to communicate those messages, through film. But another guy might be keen on doing that through
writing. Yeah, for sure. Well, it takes us all, Same team,
Sometimes we forget that as we're wearing our different brand hats and all that.
Yeah, don't pay attention to this guy.
It's right here. It's true. That's a whole other discussion. But
no, we are, though. We're in it for the same reasons.
We got to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell folks where they can find some of your work and any projects you're working on going forward that you got going on right now that you're excited about.
So my show's on Q3 and 4, so from July to December on Sportsman's Channel. I just now came off the air. We're on Thursday nights. And they call it the Thursday Night Trailblazers block. So we're in that. I will release 2 videos a month on Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation's YouTube page and Facebook. I do one, Elk Country Chronicle a month, and then one Hunting is Conservation. They're mini-series online, so you can get on Elk Foundation's page and find a lot of those pieces I've done over the last 3 years.
Got it.
My website is intohighcountry.com.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook, Jason Matzinger, Facebook, Into High Country. Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I share as much of it as I can. Coming up, got a really fun project that I've just started working on for Mule Deer Foundation with them, to tell the story of mule deer and how important it is that we conserve their habitat.
That's a scary one right there. Like, mule deer seem to be that one species that
they're very finicky.
Fragile.
Yeah, fragile. There you go. They're like sheep.
Yeah.
They're very susceptible to
disease and
climate
and
just
I heard something.
Development.
I think it was on your some piece you did that was talking about how far they will travel, like one mule deer, and realizing that when they travel like across multiple states to this other place, that when you start putting highways in and roads and everything, and for some reason there's that migration pattern in their DNA, that they have to risk their lives so much of the way to get there because of all these human, changes to the environment. I kind of heard that some mule deer don't migrate far, but some go very far.
Yeah.
And that was an eye opener.
Yeah.
For me. There's so much I don't really know about mule deer.
Well, I think there's so much all of us don't know, and that's what I'm going to have fun about doing this film. I mean, I guarantee I'm going to learn a ton in the process of filming this. It's going to be released in the summer of 2018 is when we'll come out with the full film.
That's exciting.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It is. Starting January 2017, I'm going to do a mini-series like Elk Country Chronicles that I did for Elk Foundation. I'm going to start a mini-series for Mule Deer Foundation talking about going through the months from January to December of what mule deer are doing that particular time and what Mule Deer Foundation is doing to benefit them during that particular time, and what we can do as hunter conservationists to help them during that time. So I'm really excited about that piece, that whole project coming up.
Yeah.
Very
cool.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Did you put a film in the Full Draw? Or hunting film tour?
Well, I submitted one. We'll see what those boys think of it, huh?
I know, I submitted one too.
It's not, I wouldn't call it like a full film, so to speak. It's more of just a...
do you ever...
It's called Why Do You Hunt?
Oh, okay.
And it's just a short little 5-minute thing that talks about why I hunt.
Yeah.
And then I think it just kind of puts a question mark in your head to make you think of why do I hunt?
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Cool.
We'll see if they take it. It's not really a film, but I submitted it.
It's really tough. I think I'll work on a film. I need time, and I'll get it done, and then I'll go. It's not quite what I want it to be yet, and work on it. I'll put it away, and then I'll come back to it later and work on it some more. But I put one in. At this point, I really am like, when I put a film in the tour, it's great if they take it. It's okay if they don't. It just means there's some really good movies out there that I'm going to get to see.
Exactly.
I mean, and I just love it that they're doing it at all, because I've seen so many people change by the films they see in the Full Draw film tour. Bringing people that are non-hunters along has just been really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, my film last year was The Last Chase, and it was a film about a mountain lion, my old hound dog, and things. And, I mean, I've heard so many stories about that film of, guys would bring their daughters to Full Draw film tour, 7-year-old little girls who leave there wanting to get a hound dog and start lion hunting because of that film. That's what drives me. I mean, those stories are what keeps me out there trying to make more stories.
That's an inspiring film.
Like I said, man, it's not killing a big animal. In fact, I think throwing a number at an animal, period, is just, I think it just brings nothing but negativity, personally. I mean, whether it's a shot distance or a score, what good ever, like, say you put a post up, just for example, on Facebook, and you say a score, just read under there what comes from it.
Yeah.
Not one good thing, even from hunters. Like, I don't think it scores that, or I shot one that looks like that, but he was way bigger.
Yeah.
There's just...
In general...
I just feel like it's I think hunters I wish hunters would get away from numbers. I think antis use it for fuel because for them it's like, you know.
They can call it trophy hunting
exactly.
without purpose. So you're not really there for any kind of...
You're taking an animal's life to boost your ego.
Yeah.
And that's it. And, dude, I don't like that either.
Yeah,
I mean, I
agree.
I think we... thank God for Boone and Crockett and what they created. They're, the first conservation organization ever. Theodore Roosevelt, all the groundwork they laid.
It's useful in a way to be able to say what classable is or something like that. To be able to say, I saw this deer that was big. It's like, well, how big?
Right.
So it's good. It's usable in that sense. But other than that, it's like,
and people don't know this, but like. Part of the message I got out in Project Elk was it was not Boone and Crockett didn't develop a scoring system so we can brag and put our name in a book. That book was developed to show how successful our conservation efforts were and what areas it was successful.
Right.
So it's a book of documentation to show.
When you have super old age class animals all being taken in a certain area year after year after year, it's working in that
exactly.
area.
And so basically, Boone and Crockett went from a book that's this thick to start with to it's like this thick now.
Yeah.
So that tells you that the North American model of wildlife is an absolute, it's the most successful.
In your film, you have those people, though, that are like saying, I don't report anymore. I don't measure my animals. I don't report. I don't want to be part of that because of the negativity associated with the numbers.
Yeah.
Right. But I heard Boone and Crockett explaining how they still use that for conservation. They still use that to see where we're at. So if guys aren't reporting it, we can be hurting ourselves.
Sure.
So it's sort of a
double-edged sword a little bit. Yeah, I think if you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And why you're entering that?
Almost every time when we post an animal, a picture of an animal that we harvested, we never put the score down, ever. I will almost always get either a few PMs or right there asking, what's its
score?
And we just say, we don't know.
That's what I say. I say I haven't put a tape to it yet.
Yeah. And I prefer that, not because I'm trying to hide the score. It's just not the part of the hunt I want to emphasize.
Yeah. Well, and what's it going to do? Like I said, so you tell them a score.
Yeah.
Argument started, done, over. They're not going to be pleased by what you tell them, I guarantee you.
Right.
That's what I mean. Like, they'll ask for a score, but why? You want to argue with me?
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. I don't know.
Well, you've been in the hunting industry, for a number of years now on TV and so forth. You have people love your work that are following you. There's got to be, I'm experiencing this a little bit more too, a little more negativity out there around, people criticizing what I do or the work I do. It just comes with the territory of putting yourself out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I still take that dive.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's got to take the heat.
There's a few haters out there, but the overwhelming majority have been so positive that it's like, it just kind of drowns it out.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I wouldn't change it for nothing.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you coming on. I've been wanting to actually do this with you for a while.
Right on. Well, I appreciate you having me, man.
Full Draw Film School and so forth. So I'm glad you came on, and I love your work, and I look forward to seeing more of it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me on here.
All right. Take care.
You too, brother.
Okay, Gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word Gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the Gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kafaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, Triple X Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowmen Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.